Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Andrew Winters. This is my husband, Don Smith. We're legally married. We were married in Massachusetts. We live in West Kingston, Rhode Island. We both spent our entire careers in education, and I would still like to be in education, and that's going to be a piece of the story that I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to be very brief, but I think there are a couple of converging issues that I want to bring before you this morning. And I want to say, too, how much I appreciate the various testimonies tonight. I've been an activist and outspoken. I've been an openly gay person since the early 1970s. And I know that silence is has been a challenge for us. We've had to break that silence by coming out. During the AIDS crisis, it was silence equals death. And I think that we're at a point on this issue where the silence has been broken with regard to the fundamental issue of marriage and whether we're going to approve marriage equality. But I think that there's a lot of nuance that came out tonight that I think was very relevant. Now, I started the first lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender center in Rhode Island on one of our campuses of higher education. I came here in 1995, and when I came here, I was such an anomaly that there was an article written about me in the Providence Journal because I was out and I was hired into an administrative position. And I started that position because I created that center because of the atmosphere and climate that I saw here. In my very first week at this institution where I had been working, there was a car that drove by. I was attending a clandestine meeting of a couple of LGBT people, and the car drove by, and there was a name-calling incident. And what I learned that week continued throughout my tenure, and that was that there was an unaddressed, palpable, very difficult atmosphere for a lot of LGBT people. So a lot transpired over the years that I worked there to try, from my point of view, for a couple of us to speak up and try to address that climate. And I conceptualized, created, successfully advocated for, and was appointed to the position in directorship of this center that I created. But the problems persisted. The problems did not go away with regard to the climate, and just a couple of years ago, they reached a crescendo. I worked with some of the students, and we brought forward to the senior administration, other people in the community, things that were happening to students overtly. Used condoms being thrown against their door, garbage piled up. It was being covered up by the administration. That's today. It was just 2 years ago. Housing discrimination, it was overt. So what happened was that instead of simultaneously, and the part of the other issue was that, and it's still true, a lot of professionals remained in the closet, afraid to come forward. So what happened, and the reason I bring up the issue of silence, is that I was approached 2 years ago today, and I was handed a letter. And the letter informed me that from that point forward, I would be terminated immediately if I spoke up about any issues pertaining to the university, including the overt bullying. And this was at the time that student we all remember so famously jumped off the bridge, the Rutgers student down in New Jersey, national dialogue taking place. So what happened was that silence was used to put me and along with me, my husband, into a torturous situation. Lies, whispering campaign. I was removed from campus. I was paid to be absent from campus, and the story was suppressed. And it continues. That continues to be the case. Now, what happened? You can see that we're not young people. And so Don had unprecedented high blood pressure problems. I received a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress. And we were bullied into a retirement agreement under complete duress. And people in this government, all the way up through the governor's office, are aware that this has taken place. And we've been trying to bring it up and have something happen to correct that. But my point, the reason I think it's appropriate to bring this up here in this context with regard to marriage equality is this. I put this picture up here because Don and I and Frank and Tony can attest to this. We've been in this for quite a while. We've testified and we've talked. When I came before the House, I talked a lot about the things that I learned regarding the students and the problems that they had. But, and we had intended to actually just get married in Rhode Island. But the problem was, because they had come after me about speaking up about the bullying, I lost my career, we lost our income, and we lost our health benefits at our age. With post-traumatic stress, with the blood pressure issues, with the institution's general counsel informing us that they didn't, quote unquote, give a shit. And that's the truth. So Don's from Massachusetts. He had a career in education, as I mentioned, and there was a window of opportunity for us to actually enroll in the health care benefit as married people. So instead of waiting to get married when we wanted to, we ran over to Massachusetts. We got married. We had a celebration down in Provincetown, and it really provided a safety net and saved us. So for us, this whole argument is not about some theoretical, practical, impractical, religious, non-religious. It's about equality, and it's also about putting things into place so that there's an example, a nuanced example that hasn't made the testimony here, I don't think, about the way that marriage can help to protect us in difficult circumstances too. We love one another, we're very glad to be together, and we just want to let you know that it's important to address not only marriage, but those other issues that are taking place in this state, and I'll be happy to speak off the record because obviously I can't talk as much as I'd like to about what took place, but we need to address this complexity of issues and really make sure that I know the governor had made statements that it's good for business to attract people here, therefore we need to have marriage equality. But we can't be attracting people into a state where the experience like the one that we've had is taking place. So right now there are some other people trying to speak up in the absence of the voice that I would like to have. CCRI, through their unfiltered lens, this is still available on their campus. They're trying to get this story out, and people are calling for an investigation and some accountability, and I think that that's an appropriate thing to put into the mix for the conversation. And thanks so much for all your work and letting us come here and stay here this early in the morning.
Are there any questions or comments for this witness? Thank you.
I thank you all for listening to us. I know it's late. I'm going to be so brief you can't believe it, but I believe that Andrew, my dear husband, has said everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Good morning.